Companions, welcome. This story comes to you from the north of Mozambique again. We had found a great camping spot. It was some distance away from a nice big waterhole with fresh water. And in the morning when we went for our walk, we had barely left camp, less than 100 meters, in an area that was a little bit burnt. We found the tracks of an elephant bull. The bush people burn the veld during winter for various reasons, for visibility, for safety. They have livestock so that there will be early grazing, and so for various reasons. And that fire spreads more or less randomly, depending on the conditions. And so you find these burnt areas in places in the bush that might have been lit a long, long way back. Anyway, these tracks were very clear in this burnt area. And normally, it wouldn't have interested us much, except maybe for a knowing look or a remark. But these tracks were unusually big. Nelson fitted 2 of his number 8s into the front foot. Now, elephant bulls are not all the same build. Like people, some of them are stocky and short-legged, others are more tall and not so heavily built. And then you get those really big bulls, which are tall, big, and also bulky. They don't necessarily have big tusks. In fact, big tusks could be a bit of a handicap in a fight because, as we know, elephants push each other with the front part of their upper jaw, and they try and throw each other off balance. And only if the one could get side onto the other, they might use their tusks to gall the other or injure him. Because they could damage their tusks in these fights. They often do break off a tusk or crack it. And that's then a disadvantage for them. So they protect their tusks. Anyway, the tracks of this bull were unusually large. And I was intrigued because most big elephant bulls in the bush are known. But this could be, because of this very remote area, could be an unknown huge tusker that nobody had seen before. I was intrigued. I said to Nelson, let's try and track it and see if we can spot it. Now, it was easy in the flat areas, softer areas, but later in the morning, it became very hot and the sun shifted to overhead. That made tracking more difficult, and there was no burnt areas anymore. And the ground became a little bit gravelly and rocky and hard. And now, where we were able to track at the shuffling trot, we now had to slow down to much slower. Elephant walking just normally can outpace a human easily. And if you have to track, you are not going to catch him easily. Now, this bull, he passed our camp without even breaking his stride. He must have spotted the flicker of our fire through the foliage, because we kept the fire burning through the night because of the dangerous predators around. He may not have smelled us because of the smoke, but he certainly might have heard perhaps a clearing of the throat of the guy that's on guard duty, or shuffling as he shifted his position or something, some camp sound. But he didn't even break his stride. He just carried on straight past us. He was certainly going somewhere in a very deliberate way. Close to midday, it was very hot and we were not making much progress. And just after midday, I said to Nelson, look, I think we must stop. We might not even catch up with him. And even if we did, we might not get a very good look at him, just a glimpse. And he might not even have big tusks, quite possible. So we might be on a wild goose chase here. Besides, we went out for the day only. So we had skeleton kit, just a little bit of food and water for the day. And I was getting worried. We were getting so far away from camp and our last known water that if we turned back, we might not make it without finding other water. And that could leave us in serious, serious trouble. He was disappointed, and he felt that, I think, his tracking skills were being called into question. Now we tracked together, but still he felt that he was the lead tracker and it was his responsibility. So I gave him a nudge and I said, Nelson, you've tracked this bull very well, very fast, but he's walking at pace and we can't catch up with him over the hard ground. So you mustn't feel bad. And that helped a bit. But I could see he was reluctant and disappointed to leave the tracks. We were about 15 kilometers from camp. And as we walked, I thought, there's something to be said for that delicious mystery of an unknown big tusker walking around in the bush there in the northern parts that nobody knows about. All the big tuskers in the world, or most of them, are very well known and even have names. But this could be one that's totally unknown. But we didn't find it, and so it remains a mystery. And I thought, isn't mysteries one of the finest spices of life? Not the ones that we are able to fathom, the ones that remain just beyond our comprehension. Those hint at possibilities without revealing them. It entices the imagination from the comfort of the known into the fabulous world of the suggestive. There it is free to fashion its own encounters, its own landscapes, its own emotion, and to weave them into stories that somehow acquire an element of truth because they remain forever unconfirmed. Companions, I hope you enjoyed this little story about the phantom elephant bull, and that you will join me again next week. If you like this, please give me a like on YouTube and follow my channel. Thank you, and good luck until then.